I hope this one line. Yes. So see, we'll start from these lines 22 to 25. Okay. Here you see from this line till the end, the poem is a bit difficult. Okay. So you got to pay attention. So here, the poet says that keeping quiet doesn't mean suspension of activities. Like if you just keep quiet, close your eyes and keep quiet, and don't think anything worthwhile, don't think anything substantial or important or useful, then it is of no use. Simply by keeping quiet and not engaging your mind in self reflection or introspection, that will not pay off anything. That is why he said, what I want should not be confused to total inactivity. Okay, it is not total inactivity. Don't think being quiet means it is total inactivity. No, you have to keep quiet to facilitate introspection, because keeping quiet is required for being focused. Okay, so that is why keeping quiet is a condition for doing something productive. Understood? Because if there is distraction, you cannot do anything useful or productive. That is why keeping quiet is a condition. Okay, it's a necessary condition for doing something productive. And here, productivity means introspection. That is why he said, keeping quiet is not equivalent to total inactivity. There should be some activity in your mind. Your mind should be engaged with creative thoughts or introspection. He said, life is what it is about. Okay? I want to not track with death. No track with death is something like after someone dies, there is huge silence forever. It's an eternal silence. So he says that let the life go on the way it goes. Okay, I don't want any track with. I don't want any kind of death-like situation. Okay, don't like any kind. I don't want any kind of death-like silence prevailing. Okay, if there is silence, it must be used productively. Okay, therefore, even when you are silent, your mind should be fully occupied. Okay, uh, let the life go on how it goes. I want no track with death. So no track with death. He also means to say that like there should not be unproductivity. Okay, behind the silence. So now let us go through the paraphrase. You see, the poet means to say that what he wants is not suspension of all activities during the process of remaining silent. Okay, he doesn't want the suspension of all activities during the process of remaining. Means he doesn't want the suspension of your thought. Your thought should not be suspended. Means it should not be idle. Okay, there should be constant thinking and introspection, reflection when you are keeping quiet for some time, one day. Okay, we should introspect by being silent so that we are able to understand why there is so much misunderstanding among human beings. So introspection has a basic purpose. What is the purpose? By being silent, we'll think why, what is the reason, okay, for so much of misunderstanding, violence, chaos among the world, disruption of activities among the world. Why? So this is something you are supposed to do by being quiet. Okay, to bring all activities to a halt is only to facilitate introspection and not to bring life to a standstill. Okay, means he says that here you see no track with death. Means here he means to say that there is no noise around. It should not be equated with death. Like death is a metaphor for silence, inactive. Death means what? If someone dies or if there is death of something, means what? It is silent forever. There is no activity there involved. Okay. Likewise, he says, if there is suspension of activities, it is not to make the environment calm and quiet. No, it is for a basic purpose of introspection. That is why to bring all activities to a halt for a day is to facilitate introspection and not bring life to a standstill. Life will go on as it is. Okay. Life will go on as it is. If there is total silence everywhere, even on the street, even on the road, that is for a purpose. That is for introspection and not for bringing life to a standstill. Bringing life to a standstill means what? Like what is there in Ukraine now, you can say. I told you yesterday, Mariupol and uh, Donbas region. Their life has become standstill now. Okay, because there is no human being there. Mostly people have migrated, or many of them have died. So life has become a standstill now. So he's the right. The poet is saying that the purpose of keeping everything silent is not to bring life to a standstill, but for a better result, for introspection, and to come to a solution, come to a understanding why there is so much of violence and disruption and misunderstanding among human beings. That is why keeping quiet is required. Human beings have become very much mechanical nowadays, right? Like, like if you go to a city, you'll find people are so mechanical. Okay, they have no time for socializing. Even in some families, you will find that family members are not able to meet one another because one is the day shift, another has the night shift, okay, another has the general shift. So they don't meet one another. Okay, understood. So it means what? They are very much mechanical. They have become mechanical. So that is why the poet says that if you take one day off from your work, then you will have plenty of scope to introspect. Because for introspection, you need time, you need scope. Human beings are so busy with their work, with their workplace, that they have no time to sit and reflect. That is why you need to take a days off for such introspection. Okay, so this is what this is what I've explained to you. Next, you see this paragraph stanza is also a bit difficult. Try to focus. He says that where if we were not so much single-minded, not so single-minded. One line you understand. If you were not so single-minded means what? Human beings are very much focused by nature. Understood? Because if you're not focused, you cannot achieve your objectives in life. You need to be focused. You need to be always determined and focused. Right? So he says that if we were not so single-minded, means human beings are single-minded, means they are focused. About keeping our lives moving. It means we are focused about keeping our lives moving, means we are focused about making progress in our life. Everyone is focused about making progress in our life, right? Or each one of you has got some objective ambition in life. Okay, that is why you need to be focused. So that is why the poet is saying every human being is focused about keeping their progress in life, about keeping their progress going in their life. Okay, means human beings are progressive in nature. So the meaning of these two lines I've explained. Next, and for once could do nothing, and for once could do nothing, like the situation what is prevailing, he said. For once you don't do anything, just keep quiet and introspect. A huge silence might interrupt this sadness. A huge silence all across the globe because of keeping quiet and introspection will make you understand why there is so much of misunderstanding among human beings. So a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. What is the sadness? Sadness of never understanding ourselves. So all across the globe, entire humanity, if they keep quiet for a day, this huge silence is created by keeping quiet, and this huge silence will certainly help human beings, okay, to understand why there is so much misunderstanding among human beings all across the globe. Therefore, now might interrupt this sadness. What is the sadness? Sadness here refers to never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. And threatening ourselves with death means as a result of not having understanding, we are prone to death. Why? Because there is violence, there is war. As a result, we are susceptible to death. Why are we susceptible to death or vulnerable to death? Because of no understanding among human beings. As a result of misunderstanding among human beings, what happens? There is chaos, violence, destruction of human lives and property. That is why this is the meaning of this 5c. This is what is the uniqueness of this stanza, See, there is no full stop here. Full stop is after so many lines. No, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After 7 line, full stop. It is comma. It's not full stop. So have you understood the meanings of these lines? Let me once again remind you, okay? Repeat. Please see from the very first line. Girls, please check from the very first line. The poet says that if human beings were not so much focused about keeping their life progressive, it means human beings are very much focused about keeping their life progressive. Okay? And at least for one day in their lifetime could remain silent for a cause. That silence would help them to understand the reason for misunderstanding among human beings, as a result of which there is death taking place everywhere. That is the meaning of last 2 lines. And of threatening ourselves with death. So have you understood now? Okay? That is why he said, in order to stop the large-scale violence and destruction of human beings and property, it is a necessary condition for each one of us to introspect for a day. Okay? So, if we keep quiet for a cause, it will help us to become united also. It will help us to foster universal love and brotherhood. Because if you come together for a cause, okay, that helps strengthen human bonds. Okay, and resolve all the disputes. Understood? Because see, whatever might be the differences among the nations, whatever might be the cause of violence or disruption, everything can be resolved, or everything can be put to an end only by dialogue and peaceful talks. Okay, peace talks. Peace talks. Okay, because see, otherwise, what happens? There is no alternative to resolving the issue except indulging in wars. So, that is why he said it is important. So now let's go through the theme once quickly. Paraphrase. Listen, the poet means to say that as human beings are so determined about his own progress in life by owning more and more things, they have become mechanical and have no time to introspect. Okay? Next is, hence they need to introspect by being silent so that they could certainly know why there was so much conflict and violence in the world. The race for more arms and ammunition. Do you understand the meaning of race for arms and ammunition? Yes. What does the race refer to here? The race for arms and ammunition. So, what is the race all about? The race is about competitiveness. Competitiveness about owning more and more arms and ammunition, weapons of mass destruction. Okay, like nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. Okay, so countries are busy in owning such weapons of mass destruction. That is why the race for more arms and ammunition. Race among the countries, the competition among the countries for acquiring more and more weapons of mass destruction. That is what is the meaning of race for arms and ammunition. And the desire to overpower and dominate over more and more areas and countries is what has threatened mankind with death. Like exactly what Russia is doing. Russia does not want Ukraine to join the NATO force because if Ukraine joins the NATO force, in that case, there is a threat of Russia's sovereignty, because all the NATO countries will come together to help Ukraine. Okay, and might be Ukraine is a pawn for the NATO countries afterwards. Pawn in the sense that they will come to Ukraine and might indulge war against Russia. That is why Russia wants to procure land. See, dominate more and more areas and countries. So this is what is applicable to Russia now. If they procure more and more place of Ukraine, Ukraine will be very much weak. In that case, it will be easier for them to maintain their sovereignty and power. Okay. Now, next. Commerce. Perhaps they can teach us. Perhaps they can teach us. Who are they? See, perhaps they can teach us. Sorry, the earth can teach us. Nature, listen, this is metaphorical in meaning. Metaphorical in terms of its meaning, okay? Earth can teach us. What can earth teach us? And when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. It means, see, in nature you might have seen, like winter is a season, okay, where all the seeds remain latent inside the soil. Okay, when there is spring after winter, that time the seeds come out of the soil. Okay, they germinate during the winter. No? So they come out when the spring comes. So during the winter, the entire nature appears to be very, very silent. Right? So from nature, we have something to learn. What do we have to learn from nature? As spring comes after the winter, okay, and the nature looks so refreshing and green, likewise, after this huge silence prevailing all across the globe for a day, whatever life will come up after the silence, that will be very meaningful and productive. Understood? Like what nature teaches us. Nature teaches us that after winter, in spring season, the nature looks very refreshing and green. Likewise, after one day's silence, the entire globe will appear to be productive, because they will have come out with a workable solution. Okay, after introspection. He is very much hopeful, the poet, that after one day's introspection, okay, human beings will be in a better position, okay, to establish universal love and brotherhood. Okay, so this is what we can learn from nature. And then he says, I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. I will count up to 12. He says, again, towards the end of the poem, he is preparing the readers for the introspection. It's a kind of a warm-up activity. I'll count up to 12 and you shall keep quiet. Now, see the paraphrase here. The seeds that lie dormant throughout winter germinate or come to life with the arrival of spring. Omkar, देखो germinate आपने बोला था. The seeds that lie, isn't it? The seeds that lie dormant inside the soil, that germinate during the spring season and help look nature so refreshing in appearance. Likewise, the poet is optimistic about the outcome of introspection. After introspection, after one day's dead-like silence, when the world will come up, the people will come up with their renewed thoughts and workable solution, okay, of the problem which prevails in the world. देखो बेटे, yes, like the earth throbs with life, when the spring comes, likewise, man gets new direction. Man gets new direction in life, the direction of being peaceful, empathetic, and forgiving as an outcome of introspection. So now you tell me if there is any confusion in your mind. आपने सुना है क्या? Okay, then you tell me, perhaps art can teach us. What does the poet mean by perhaps art can teach us? What can art teach us? So, are both of you watching? Vijay and Vinita, are you still there? Let's see whether they are there. Vijay and Vinita, are you still there? If you are still there, please text me quickly. Thank you, Vijay. You are there. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vijay and Vinita, for your presence, for your online presence. Okay, now let's quickly go through the literary devices. Okay, let's quickly go through the literary devices. You see the literary devices here. First is anaphora. What is the meaning of anaphora? You see two consecutive lines starting with the word let's. Okay, so here you see let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second. So both the sentences start with let's. So that is a literary device which is called anaphora. Okay. Yes, like these two lines. These two lines, as they start with let's, so they are the example of anaphora. Next, assonance क्या होता है? देखो बेटे, assonance. Use of the vowel o, like victory with no survivors would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers. So, use of vowel o is called assonance here, like no survivors o, put on clothes, brothers. So this is a figure of speech or literary device called assonance. And there was another new one, enjambment. ये क्या होता है? Enjambment means and for once could perhaps a huge silence of threatening ourselves with death. Enjambment means it is not in the normal word order. Okay. See, and for once could perhaps means verb will come first and then subject. Normally what happens? Subject comes first and then verb. And in enjambment, verb will come first like could perhaps and then subject huge silence will go later. So this is an example of enjambment. Alliteration you must be knowing, consecutive repetition of the consonant letters like words with. So WW. So W sound is repeated. That is called alliteration. Okay. Clean clothes. See the letter C is repeated. Clean clothes. Okay. And then metaphor is fisherman in cold sea, clean clothes, brothers in the shade. Okay. So NCERT solution questions you can write down in your notebook, update your notebook. Okay. And the extra questions you can read from the website itself. Okay. Only NCERT solution you please make a note in the notebook. Okay. Thank you, Vinita and Vijay.